Hello once again, and Tony here with a review of Lone Survivor, which was shown at the Cinestar movie theaters at Potsdamer Platz. The film was directed by Peter Berg, and it was also produced and written by Peter Berg, and co-producing this film were Sarah Aubrey, Randall Emmett, Norton Herrick, Barry Spikings, Akiva Goldsman, Mark Wahlberg, Stephen Levinson, and Vitaly Grigorians. And this was also based on the novel by the same name written by Marcus Luttrell and Patrick Robinson. And this film stars Mark Wahlberg, Taylor Kitsch, Emil Hirsch, Ben Foster, Eric Bana, and Alexander Ludwig. Now, this was a film I was quite excited to see based on the trailer because the trailer looked so fast paced and it was just so epic on many levels that I knew that I was going to get myself into such a thrilling ride. And just by watching the opening scenes, I was definitely blown away. The opening definitely lured me in because it showed a lot of clips of what happened during the 2005 war against the Taliban in Afghanistan, made possible by the soldiers of the Operation Red Wings. And basically, the opening drew me in, and I know that I'm gonna sound quite corny, but it kind of made me proud to be an American citizen because this film made me so inspired to really root for the soldiers who have given their lives for fighting for the country I was born in. And this film pretty much gave me a sense of pride. Not to sound all corny and pretentious or anything, but this was a film that definitely resonated with me. Not just because of this sense of patriotism, but it was also because of just how bloody and gory the situation that these young men got themselves into. Plus, this was also based on a true story. Now, story wise, like I said, this was based on a true story, and everything in this film was handled with such care and such respect to the young men who have risked their lives in fighting for their country, especially in such a dangerous country like Afghanistan, where some of the supporters of the Taliban are and have tried to fight against their opponents. This story definitely put a lot of respect, and sure, I have seen other war films before, like Apocalypse Now and Saving Private Ryan. And I've seen some snippets of Saving Private Ryan, and I've actually seen the whole film of Apocalypse Now. This actually is totally on their rank at just how brutal, at just how intense and gory the life of a soldier can be. And plus, these soldiers are also playing with their lives. They are on a dangerous mission to basically fight the supporters of the Taliban and basically make their country proud. They want to basically represent their country very well, and they'll die doing it. So basically, this is very engaging. Sure, the this is based on a true story, and with a lot of movies based on true stories, it's basically handled with respect. And it's certainly a must, especially when it comes to very sensitive topics like this one here. How these brave men risk their lives to protect their country, to represent their country very well, and to fight for their country, no matter what the cost. And that's what really drew me in. And it's also thanks to its magnificent opening, which shows some clips of the soldiers in training, whether it's photos or certain video clips. that definitely drew me in because I knew I was going to be in for a very wild ride that resonated with me as an American. Now, like I said, I don't want to be corny with that, but it definitely resonated with me. Now, cinematographically speaking, it's, like I said, very well shot. I know I've said this in a lot of other videos, and like I said, I don't go to see a movie to see bad cinematography. Every time I go to see a movie, I always expect great cinematography, and this one totally delivers at just how brutal, at just how graphic it can be, especially in all of the stunt scenes in which the soldiers tumble down a high mountain and a very rocky mountain as well, and how they pay close attention to detail in terms of every cut, every wound, every scrape, every scratch. It is just so graphic. For those of you who are quite squeamish, you might as well, turn away for a while if you can't really stand anything graphic. But if you really want to suck up the courage to do it, then by all means, try. So, yes, sure, the close up scenes of the wounds and all of those gory scenes may not suit everyone because this is definitely very sensitive. But, like I said, the cinematography was well handled. It makes great use of slow motion, and especially in those very fast scenes where the soldiers go tumbling down from mountain to mountain, and even in the action scenes now I thought were very well executed. So yes, the story, writing, and cinematography were solid all around. Now, with the characters, sure, it is easy to just see them as these men who have guns and basically shoot, 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 and kill, kill, kill. Well, there's a lot more to them. The characters in this film, well, they're basically real people. Now, this was, like I said, this was based on a real story. They didn't really feel like stereotypes or just characters. They definitely felt like real people that we can relate to. We hear them swear, we hear them joke sometimes, we hear them like give out such witty dialogue. Yet, nonetheless, these are people we can easily relate to. Now, Marcus Murphy is definitely the one of the characters I definitely like in this movie. Of course, he's based on the real life Marcus Murphy. And I have to say, he was definitely a very determined person, and he was absolutely one of the driving forces of this film to never give up, never lose hope, and to keep striving on no matter how difficult things are. And his other comrades were absolutely great guys as well. The only person where I felt should have had more screen time was basically Shane Patton. Now, that's not to discredit the real life Shane Patton, but the Shane Patton in the movie was basically underused. He was basically used as someone who was in the first scene like a butt monkey because he was still very young and not a lot of the older soldiers take him seriously, and he's only required just to stay in base, receive calls of what's happening, and carry out the orders. I mean, still, he's a good character, but he is so underused. But it's easy to say that every character in this film were all fantastic. And it's also safe to say that, yes, these characters don't really feel like characters in the movie. They are real. They were real people. In fact, Marcus Murphy is still alive and well to this very day. His comrades may have passed away during such a dangerous mission, but their legacy will definitely live on because they have fought well at making this country better. And they have given their lives into making America stand tall and persevere no matter how hard things are. Now, like I said, the character is definitely great, and they didn't even feel like characters. They were real people who have fought, lived, and some of them died for the sake of the country. Now, going into the performances, I have to say this is absolutely one of my favorite Mark Wahlberg performances that I've ever seen. Sure, I did like him in The Italian Job, and I've only seen a few snippets of Pain and Gain, but I didn't really care for that movie. This, I have to say, is one of those performances that I definitely took Mark Wahlberg seriously as an actor. Forget Pain and Gain. This is definitely a character that I definitely loved Mark Wahlberg as. He was able to put a lot of respect, a lot of detail and care into making this character real. And he did a great job with that. And it's also no wonder why this film has been nominated for 2 Oscars for Best in Sound and Best in Editing. But going to Mark Wahlberg as Marcus Murphy, I have to say, he gives a very solid performance. Eric Bana as the commander was another great performer as well. And, of course, he's Australian, and sure, I've heard him use the American accent a couple of times. The first time I've heard was in his role of Bruce Banner in The Hulk, and this is pretty much the second time I've heard him use an American accent. And I have to say, he pulls off the American accent very well, and he was able to give such a very great performance of the commander. And sure, he may be quite hard nosed, but he was definitely fantastic in that role. Alexander Ludwig as Shane, sure, his role was minute, but he was pretty good. I mean, he looked absolutely fantastic. I mean, he was so well built, and just wow, what a killer body he had. That's not to say I'm going crazy over him, but just wow, he certainly grew up very well. And I thought, wow, from going from Race to Witch Mountain 2009 to here, I thought just, wow, what a change. It was pretty much miraculous. But he pretty much embodied Shane Patton pretty well. Sure, his role was minute, but it was a pretty good performance overall. Taylor Kitsch, Emile Hirsch, and Ben Foster all did very solid jobs, and they were absolutely fantastic in their roles. In fact, every single actor in this film, they were all fantastic. There was nobody who was wooden. There was absolutely no one that went over the top. They all gave real, honest, and very sincere performances. And the music was absolutely great. It makes great use of some orchestral pieces in the flight montages, though at times it can venture into a more eerie silence, especially when it comes to the moments of near death. And this is absolutely no wonder, as I said, that this film won or was nominated for 2 categories, Best in Editing and Best in Sound. So, yes, the music was definitely very appropriate for such a film like this. It didn't really need to rely on such a heavy orchestral piece, but It was absolutely honest, and I thought it suited very well. It didn't need to be over the top, it was just simple and honest. So, overall, this film really resonated with me very well as an American. And I have to say, this was very respectful to the many people who have served in Operation Red Wings, and for those who have died in the Taliban, may your souls rest in peace because you have all fought well, and we'll never forget you. May your legacy live on. And I'm sure the real Marcus Murphy is watching this. And I have to say one thing: thank you. Thank you very much for risking your life just to make this country stand tall. No matter how hard life is, no matter how hard situations are, well, you and your men made this country stand. Even to this very day, I salute you. So, with that said, you know what I'm going to give this film: a perfect 5 out of 5. It's very respectful to the people who have risked their lives in the fight or the battle against the Taliban. And it's very honest. Sure, it can be brutal, and it's not going to be for everybody, but it's safe to say that you won't be disappointed. There's no pandering. There's no talking down. Sure, there are some witty lines here and there. Some of them can be hilarious just to balance out the drama that's found in this movie. But you won't be disappointed. If you haven't watched it yet, then by all means go ahead and watch it. It doesn't matter whether you've served in the Army or the Navy, but I'm sure this film will also resonate with you very, very well. So go ahead and see it. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to tune in to my next review, which is going to be tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be reviewing Mr. Peabody and Sherman. So do expect a review on that. And I'll also be reviewing an opera, Donizetti's Lucia di Lammermoor, which will be shown at the Deutsche Oper Berlin. Until then, this is Antoni signing off and wishing you all a good night.